Welcome, and thank you for clicking on my video. I am Choose Your Review. This here is my first review, and today I will be reviewing The Lonely Castle in the Mirror. It's an anime movie, which I had the pleasure to see at TFS a few months ago. Well, to summarize the plot, quite easy. We have our main girl, Kokoro, and she doesn't go to school because she gets bullied. And one day, her mirror begins to glow, and she gets pulled in. And you won't believe what she finds in a movie called The Lonely Castle in the Mirror. Now you could argue how much lonely it is, because there are like 8 people most of the time in that castle. But still a huge ass castle, so I think they're quite lonely there. And there she meets 6 other kids like her, and the little girl who's a bit different, because she is wearing a wolf mask and calls herself the Wolf Queen. And then they get told that they have like 9-10 months to search through the castle. Because somewhere in the castle is a little room hidden, and if they find it, they can make a wish. And from there on, the character-driven plot reveals itself about Kokoro and the other 6 kids. What brings them there? What have their goals? What is their story? What they have in common? And I had a lot of fun with that one. But that's just for the basic plot without spoilers. Already I can wholeheartedly recommend it to anyone who likes anime movies, or some movies where you see all the things and can make a few connections in your head, because they give you hints here and there. Like some they explain, some they hint on early on. And it was a good movie to think with it. To see like, I see something there and I see something there, and what does this movie want to tell me? Like for that, it's a great movie. Now some basic details about the movie. It was first aired on some festivals, even December 2022. I just saw it like 2 months ago, so it took quite some time to get his translation in German. Because I have to be honest, before I saw the trailer on the YouTube channel, I didn't hear anything about it. What really is a shame. So, the movie is 116 minutes or an hour and 56. The parental guide says it's for ages 12 and up. Although, a little trigger warning, this movie has later in it a scene where there's sexual advantages against an underage character, which doesn't get played nice or anything. It is a bad scene in the movie. Like, not objectively bad, but in a overall scheme. And just wanted to let you know that. Because I know some people who really don't get along with that, even if it's just a little scene. The movie itself is from Keiichi Hara, who, if you don't know any of his other works, he made Summer Days with Ko and a lot of this Shin-chan stuff. I mean, I can see I had a lot of fun with Summer Days with Ko, with Shin-chan as well, but there I don't saw his big vision as a director. Although he already seemed to be kind of my thing there. And he made a lot of Shin-chan when I looked after his name, what he already did. So, maybe I should watch a bit more Shin-chan. The original idea from Lonely Castle in the Mirror and the original manga is by, and I have to read that off, Mizuki Tsujimura. Sorry for the names, but I can't remember everything. She made it as a few parts manga, which I also consider buying, but have to say it's at least have something different than just that, but that's my thing. She also made the basic idea for Anime Supremacy, which some of you may know if you're in this kind of genre. It's from, I think, last year or this year. I watched it a few weeks ago, which isn't an anime per se, but has a lot of anime themes there, and I enjoy that as well. So she seems to at least have a good writing, and I like that. I hope she brings more. Well, if this was a movie really like this, I would probably go into that actor plays that one and that one, and if there's some cameo, put it in the back. But I don't want to blame myself with reading all those Japanese names, although they all did a really great job. Even if I only watched it with German audio. But you always have to have a great foundation to build upon it. And I doubt there's anything where you say like, oh, the original is really shit, but the dub, that is what saved. So I think I can say they all did a great job. Now I think those are most things that you can say about the movie beforehand. Now, for my personal opinion, as I already mentioned, I had a really good time with it. I knew barely anything about it. I watched a single trailer on YouTube when they announced that it will be coming into the cinemas. And then I went there and had a great time. It looks stunning, which most anime that come to the cinema do. But there are some things with art styles that stand out. That one can't claim that. Pretty though. The soundtrack, I wouldn't say it's really like the biggest thing I've ever heard or something like to remember for eternity. Has a few good things here and there. So no complaints in that regard. Has a really pretty song in the end credits, like a lot of anime movies seem to have. So at least that is worth checking out if you're into Japanese music. Well, for the characters and plot and stuff like that, I like it a lot. I have some complaints, like they're all kids, and sure they make some kids mistakes, and they have some reasons not to share every information they have. But at some point, a few things I feel like they could have figured that out sooner. They have some cool ideas, and I won't judge it because of that, because a lot of things just make sense. Why they don't talk about that or why they make that, and it gets more of a mystery for them than for the viewer. Because you can think you're a part. In the end, when they reveal it, I think it's like in most reveals, when they tease up to it, they push it a bit on your nose, like what's really the big factor that was missing in the puzzle. But still, I like the plot. I like the figuring it out with the kids, what's all about, and seeing if they even find that hidden room. Now the cast itself, it's A, really small, and B, quite likable for that what it is. I mean, sure, Kokoro is the main girl. Everyone else is a support character. They have their stories more or less fleshed out and do their parts. But they never get the depth that she gets. And as I said, really small cast. Kokoro, the 6 other kids, the Wolf Queen, and then outside of the mirror, only really a few people. Like you see Kokoro's mother, a guidance counselor at school, a friend that lives across the street, and the girl that bullies her with their friends, but most of them barely have any screen time. But even with that bit of screen time that they have, they're well written for what they are. And well, you might already have heard it, how I talk about it. I really like that movie. Like, no reason to talk around that. The plot had me hooked. The plot needed a bit to get me hooked. But then I love to put on my ideas. What will happen? Why does it happen? What are the things that they're hiding? If you are called for a few red herrings, I really run into them just to get a rug pulled under me later. And that's good as well. And at the end of the day, I just had a really good time with it. Not perfect. Surely that's some questions unanswered, or you'll ask, like, how could that be that long of an issue before they resolve it? But it's just a good movie. if I had to put it in a scale from 1 to 10, would pay it a strong 8, maybe 8.5 kind of thing. And I can wait until it comes out and I can watch it again. Because there were all little details here and there. I'm quite sure I missed a lot and saw some that probably weren't even there. And just had a really good viewing experience. So, wholeheartedly can recommend it. Not perfect, but really, really good. So, now for the spoiler part. If you don't want to hear that, that's the perfect time to turn off the video. Well, firstly, there are some little extra rules in the castle. They have to leave every day at 5 p.m. or there will be a wolf that eats them. Doesn't seem that fun anymore then. But aside that, most of the rules are quite there and quite clear. Find a room, get a wish. So then about the kids. Surely they talk with each other. Not too surprising. I mean, our main girl, Kokoro, after she has the first initial meeting and then comes back the second day to get to bed, she stays a bit out. She doesn't like to talk to people because she got bullied. And she got bullied hard. You will see that later. No nice scenes. So you can completely understand why she wants to avoid human contact. And well, when she decides to come back, she sees everyone just uses it as a hangout. They say they search for the room here and there, but no one can find it. And so they just have like 9 months of a hangout together. They become friends, more or less, here and there. Different kind of characters. Now, for the 6 other kids. They all have their stories and their personalities. So I will go just in depth a bit with them. I think that's enough. The outside world cast just as much as needed for it to make sense, I would say. Now just to get about the 6 characters. They are all kids about the same age as Kokoro, a few years older or younger, depending on the kid. And they all don't go to school. That's something they find out quite early. A bit later, they even find out that they go to the same school. But that takes a bit. Neither do they like to go to school, nor to talk about school. Which I think, to that point, was really good. When they finally decide to talk about school, then they surely could have talked a bit more or made some other decisions. Which I would say would be more logical, even if it's just kids. Have to give that much to them. Well, once they get quite accustomed to just hang around in a castle a bit, some days, some months go by, you have some snippets here and there about where they bond with each other, talk, do some stuff, some things outside where they talk about he has that problems, he has that problems, and no one really wants to face that. And I have to say, at that point, I was already like, I see that's like this whole, the room isn't really there. It's more like you all get friends, and when all that ends, then all those lonely, bullied kids come together and at least have their friends for them. Maybe grown as persons. But I was wrong. Well, after some talks here and there, they discover that they all come from the same school. And they know someone called Kitajima Sensei, which is the school counselor. Like, that one they all have in common. So, they figured out they must be on the same school. Just never seen each other. Which I had to call it like, I was like, there's something more. That's not that easy. And they finally decide to go to school. Because one kid said like, hey, my dad wants to put me into another school, so it's like my last days there. Would be really cool if we could at least meet in person right there in the school. And all show up, and no one meets. And they come back and blame each other, and they all say, we were there, they wanted to meet in the nursery, they were all there. And not only did they not meet each other, When they ask, the nurse says the other names doesn't even ring a bell. When Kokoro mentions, hey, it's like that girl or that boy here and there, and she says, no, that's not a kid here on the school. What makes it all more suspicious? As I said, I had some ideas where it goes. Then the kid said some different ideas where that went. Because one of the Spanner kids, the usual nerd trope, says they're probably like parallel worlds. Like they all have the same school and that Kidajima sensei and here and there. But they're just like different realities that come together. Would be quite an interesting idea. But it would be really sad if they could never meet. Was my idea. I was like, oh, they're probably a few years apart or something like that. And to say it already, they're a few years apart. How we get there? I tell when we get there. But at least there I can say, yes, it was just a time issue, not a multiverse issue. Because we all know theaters have that at the moment a lot. And well, after they talked about parallel dimensions and here and there and get along again, they just hang out. And the Wolf Queen tells them that if some of them finds the key, that none of the kids will remember. If they don't find the key, it's okay, they all will remember. So that puts them on the search that they barely did, even a bit back. Well, but plus needs to happen. So all the kids have some personal problems. As I said, the smart kid needs to change schools. One of them isn't even really on the school, but wanted to go to the school, but is in Hawaii, I think it was. And just technically would have been on the school, so that's why he's there. And while one of the older girls, Aki, has quite some trouble at home. And that's a trigger scene. After she attended the funeral, her dad tries to make a move on her, which hard stuff. Like, you can't say it different. If you have a problem with that, like gladly it's just a little scene to make a character blood. And well, when she makes the dent to the castle, at least she talks it down and gets at least her stuff together to go back home. Then some time went on. Kokoro, after getting some new self-esteem by talking with them, decides to talk a long-lost friend who lives along the street and gets a bit connected to her again. And even finds a little clue. The movie hints quite a few times that it's inspired by some fairy tales. And they always point to Red Riding Hood. And Red Riding Hood is a good red herring. The Wolf Queen has a little costume that looks like that. But it's not Red Riding Hood. Because after she talked to her friend, she leaves the house and sees on the wall there's a picture. And that one depicts the wolf and the 7 little goats. And then it clicks. That's the thing. There are 7 kids, there's the Wolf Queen and the wolf that eats them. Now she sees that. The problem is, when she wants to go back and tell that to the other ones, that seems to be the great scheme of things, kinda. The castle has some troubles, cause the other kids were there after 5 p.m. and they're vanished. So she's there alone. She heard some voices, distress calls, all of that, and she needs to save them. The wolf is underway, already in the castle, and now with the pictures, she finds the hidden room. Not the big of a story detail, because it's about character driven, like the wish and all that. It's just the surrounding to get the people where they need to go. They find throughout the movie like a cross in the oven and a cross under a desk, stuff like that, and then you can find out that those are the hiding spots and the wolf and the 7 young goats. And then she visits them all and collects some little marks that are there. And just as the last goat had survived in the big clock, she goes to the entrance hall where there is a big clock, and there's the hidden room. So a stairways appears, leads her into that for a bit of action that isn't too necessary, you have to be honest there. The stair at some point starts to crumble behind her, but she manages to get into the room in time. So not too much need for the action there, since there already was kind of a big wolf chasing her, which isn't too much action as well. It's a quiet movie. And she gets in the secret room and gets her wish. And well, the wish isn't that important. She only wished to forgive Aki. So all that didn't happen. They have the rest of the time in the castle. And then they are back in the castle and they find out the whole clues. There's a montage where you see scenes from them, and it, as I mentioned, then it wants to shove it into your face that you see different dates on the calendars. And I thought they are a few years apart. Like, let it be 10 years, like, then they can meet, happy end. But no, between each of those kids are 7 years. And even one of the kids is missing. So, what are 49 years between the youngest and the oldest kind of thing? So, not that good to meet. Not impossible, but then I know that wasn't the end they're going for. But that's just that. And as I said, one kid is even missing. That's because one of the other 6 kids, Rion, who's like next to Aki, like when Kokoro was there in importance, they are like there. And then there's the other 4 kids. They all have their little stories, which you can explore, but aren't that important for all the things. But he had a big sister that died. She wanted to go to the school where they all are. That's why he wanted to go there. And if he would have got the wish, he would have wished to go to school with his sister. She is that missing year, which I found was a bit convoluted, because they're all in different classes. And to say in that year she would have been there, it's like, yeah, but she would have had a year more or less. But those are little things. As I said, it's not perfect. But well, they find out that this is the missing person, because he knows the dates that would have matched. And he also figures out that the Wolf Queen is his sister in disguise. They don't save her life. Before you think anything like that, it's not like completely unrealistic. Now she's back alive and they go all to school and stuff like that. No. Sadly not. Would have been nice. Bit unrealistic for the unrealistic plot already. But I could live with more than being a farewell for him. And when they finally leave, you see some things to get revealed. Some character interactions that then make sense. As I said, you can watch those for yourself. Don't want to take anything, but they're not that plot relevant. Like, there are some little hints and clues here and there to figure it out, but you only have that much time to listen to me. But one of the big things is Aki is really the oldest. Like, she is really that 49 years before the last kid who got into the castle. And, well, the things with her father get better. At least for her side. I don't know what happens with the father. I hope. Police. And things get better as they could. Like, she lives her life on. And then you find out she remarries. And she is that famous school counselor that they all know. And she remembers. They don't recognize her, but she recognizes those kids. And then you can see, that is why they all know her and why it's important. So that was a really sweet note at the end. Also, they all be a bit more social, go back to school, and have their happy things. It's just, at the end it feels good. And sometimes that's enough. Have to say, I would have loved to have an ending where where you see when the last kid finally reaches like being old enough. They meet together, even if you say like there's an 18-year-old kid and there's plus 49, 50, 67 years old lady. Would have been a bit weird, but I would say that would be the cherry on top of those story to make it even more wholesome. But well, I think that's most I have to say about it. You have the plot summarized. My opinion about it. I think that's all. As I said, it's 8. Maybe an 8.5. So, can recommend it, as I said, wholeheartedly. So I hope you had fun watching this video. As I have to say, subscribe if you want to see more. And write down in the comments what I should review next. I know I still need to get my pacing a bit better, but it's just my second video, learning experience. I have a lot to improve. But anyway, thank you for watching, and hopefully see you next time.